Today, I'm interviewing Hannah Swiftie, best known for her Taylor Swift content on TikTok. We'll be speaking about that and much more in this episode. Let's get into it. Introduce yourself to people who don't know you.
Sure. So I'm Hannah. I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. I have a TikTok account that I run talking all things Taylor Swift and how much I sort of value her music and the morals and the sort of the way she lives her life with kindness. And I'm a really big believer in building Swiftie community. So that's what my page is all about.
How did you get into the content creation?
Well, I was a very passive user of TikTok for a long time. So I was watching a lot of TikTok, but didn't create. I was quite shy and was like, there's no way I would ever put my face on the internet. And then it was coming up to the Toronto shows of the Eras Tour. So it was like right at the end of the Eras Tour. And I was feeling really connected to a lot of Swifties on TikTok, and we were doing mastermind together and predictions for the concerts and all of that stuff. And I wanted to put my predictions out into the world. So I started a faceless, what's called a faceless account, where you just like post pictures with like words on them and that kind of thing. So I did that for a couple of weeks, and then I received a big box of Taylor Swift merch, and I wanted to open the merch on camera, and I couldn't work out how to do it without me sitting in front of the camera and opening it. So I was like, you know what, just do it, just be brave and put your face out there. And what I learned was that people don't care what I look like. There was no comments about what I look like, what my voice sounded like, which was what I was afraid of. So many content creators have an American accent, and I was like, oh, I'm going to sound strange to these people. But I was embraced and loved, and there were so many lovely comments. And it's actually the best thing I ever did for my confidence, because now I have no issue at all being on camera, and I actually really enjoy sharing myself with other Swifties.
Yeah. You recently started a Swiftie mail list. Do you want to maybe talk about the inspiration behind that and how does it work?
Sure. I actually have a little, I didn't know you were going to ask that. This is just sitting here, but it's called the Willow Post. So basically, it's an extension of my idea about community. So just randomly across, because you know how the FYP changes all the time and you just get fed different things. I was getting fed videos on my FYP about what's called snail mail clubs, which is where artists create like in what's it called, like original art pieces, and they mail them out to their subscribers. And I was like, that's such a cool thing. I was like, I wonder if there's some way to like incorporate the Swiftie community into that. And I actually sat with it for probably about 6 months. Like, how could I do this? How would I make it worth people's time? I didn't want it to be lame. And so I was watching a lot of those videos around how people created snail mail clubs, what are good things to include, the best platforms to use. I looked at all the different subscription platforms that were available, because I wanted one that was going to be cheapest for my subscribers, so it wasn't going to cost people a lot of money to join, but also that was going to have the functionality that we needed to make it a really good community. I wanted Swifties to be able to come together and share something and have a physical piece of mail to open. So the people who have, and I had almost 50 people subscribe in my first month, which is just amazing. Um, and I feel so honored. And I literally last week just posted out the first newsletter. So they're out in the world. I'm so excited. But people get a monthly newsletter with a theme. So the theme for January was Farewell to the Eras Tour, because we just had the docu-series and the final show come onto Disney Plus. So there was an Eras Tour themed newsletter with facts, and then there's puzzles and art things and craft things and like jokes, and there's a Spotify Apple Music playlist that people can listen to. I selected a book that was themed to being on tour, and so there's like a book club attached to it. And then there's a group project, so I put a puzzle in each one, and all the members of the group have to come together with their puzzle piece and piece it together to find out what the answer is. It's like a little fun community thing for Swifties to come together and just enjoy spending time together. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Um, how did you become a fan of Taylor?
Back in 2008. I've been a Swiftie for a long time. So I actually don't remember the first time I heard a Taylor song, but I remember the moment that I realized that she was special. So I used to be quite involved online with like Twilight fandom, and I had friends in the United States, and I was chatting on like MSN Messenger. This was back in 2008 when things like that happened, with a girl who I was friends with who lived in Chicago in the United States, and I was listening to music, and You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift came on, and I just mentioned to her in the chat, I said, oh, I love this song that just came on. It's called You Belong With Me by this artist Taylor Swift. And Taylor was still quite new at the time. Like she only had 2 albums out, and so I didn't expect that this other person would know who she was. And she said, oh, I'm listening to that song right now as well. And it really just struck me in that moment that we were on complete opposite sides of the planet, listening to the same song at the same time. And I got up and I danced around my room to You Belong With Me. And I just remember having this profound feeling of this is really special and this is different to any other music that I've loved before, because this is going to bring people together. So that was the moment that I was born a Swiftie.
Yeah, well, um, what is your favorite album, if you have one?
It's such a hard question because for me, Taylor's music is so mood driven. So, depending on the mood that I'm in, is what kind of songs I want to listen to. When I'm just in a happy, everyday mood, I love all of her albums, obviously. But when I have done a ranking, or my sort of default answer is that I love Midnight's the best. Midnight's is my era. But I also love TTPD. I love Speak Now. I love all of them. They're so special for different reasons.
Yeah, if you could put your life right now into an era, um, what would it kind of be?
Oh wow. Probably Life of a Showgirl, because I'm probably the happiest I've been in years. I last year, at the beginning of last year, I made some pretty big changes to my work and my career. So I'm now in a place where I love what I do and I'm really happy with what I'm doing. I've got this TikTok account where I've got this beautiful community of people. So I'm just like the happiest I've ever been. I made videos just a couple of weeks ago on my page talking about how 2025 was my year of fun. I went overseas 3 times. I did a whole pile of Taylor Swift stuff. It was just so fun and so cool. So I think I'm definitely in my opalite area. So I turned some pretty negative things in my life, and I had to make my own happiness. But I'm now in that happy space.
Oh, yeah. This time next year, what is like one thing you kind of want to have achieved?
I would love to have 10,000 followers on TikTok. And everybody talks about, wanting followers on TikTok. I don't want it for clout I don't get paid for TikTok. There's no creator fund in Australia, so it's not about making money. There's some features on TikTok around having playlists and things that would make my page easier for my followers to access that you don't get until you get 10,000 followers. So I would love to be able to have access to those features so that my videos are more accessible for people to watch.
Yeah, okay. Um, do you have like a hot take when it comes to Taylor Swift?
Oh, a hot take. Oh, goodness, I don't even know. I think that she is, and okay, this might actually be a hot take. I think she is an ethical billionaire. I know there's a lot of stuff out there around there's no ethical billionaires, and I will agree that the vast majority of them are hideous human beings. But I've followed Taylor for a long time, and everything I have seen from her is kindness, generosity. She donates so much money. She gives tips to hundreds of dollar tips to everybody she meets in the service industry. She always builds people up. She isn't greedy around her fame. Like we saw in the Eras Tour documentary that, she introduces her backup singers as this person sings with me, not they're my backup. Like she's very generous with her time, with her money, with her energy. And I just think that's somebody that I want to role model. And I believe that her vast wealth that she has accumulated was actually earned because she earned it with her money. So many other artists, they've got makeup and clothes and all these other things, but Taylor's whole thing is just her music. And I think that's something that is unique. And yeah, I think she's an ethical billionaire.
Um, do you receive hate on social media? And if you do, how do you kind of deal with, those trolls or that, that kind of stuff?
Of course I do. um, it's rampant, unfortunately. And I do have people who, when you look at their account, their whole purpose is to go and leave nasty comments. And I will never understand people who enjoy bringing other people down. It's something that just doesn't make sense to me. How I deal with it, so that's changed. So when I first started my account, I was so fearful to block anyone because I wanted to be liked, and I thought if I block somebody that looks negative on my account. And so I would just like try and talk to the haters and be like, oh, it's okay. And like try and really convince them. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like, nah, block. See ya. You don't deserve my energy. Or I'll leave a nasty comment back. Not nasty, just kind of like, imagine being the person who went out of their way to leave a nasty comment on a stranger's video, or like just call them out on their behavior. And then if they keep coming at me, then I just block. But yeah, you have to have a tough skin when you put yourself out there. Unfortunately, there are really, really awful people in the world.
Yeah. If you could ask Taylor Swift one question, what would it be?
Oh, um, I would ask her. Oh goodness, there's so many questions flashing through my mind, and I'm like, which one? Which one? I think it's so funny because I have exactly what I would ask or say to Travis, but I think I would be so overwhelmed if I met Taylor that I wouldn't know what to ask. Um, I would probably, and this probably is not the right answer, but the first thing that's coming to mind is that I would ask her which of her album eras does she look back on as the most transformational for her? So, which songs healed her or moved her into a new place where she felt that she could tackle what she had been going through? Um, was it All Too Well, the 10-minute version that allowed her to move on from the Red era and Jake Gyllenhaal? Or was it writing the breakup album to Joe, being Midnights, before she'd even left him? Did that allow her to process those emotions and then end that relationship easier because she'd already processed it all through music? Or which era was the most healing for her, I suppose?
Yeah. So aside from Taylor Swift, is there any other like hobbies or interests that you kind of have?
Yes. So a lot of people don't know. I don't advertise it, and I'm not going to promo it on here, but I am a published author as well. I have 3 novels. They're under a pseudonym though, so you won't link them to me, but that I do love reading and writing. And there's other music that I enjoy as well. So I love Sabrina Carpenter. I love Olivia Rodrigo. I love Ed Sheeran. Not to the same level where I collect their stuff, but I love listening to their music. I love to travel. Travel is my biggest passion in the world. So I travel as much as I can. I have 2 cats who I love and adore. And at the moment, I'm on a decluttering sort of hobby thing, where I'm trying to clear out stuff that I don't need from my life anymore, physically, like stuff, but also like emotionally, and just sort of let's start fresh. 2026, we're starting fresh.
Yeah. Um, Obviously Taylor released her 12th album, Life of a Showgirl. Kind of what's your overall thoughts on the album and, maybe your favorite song?
Sure. I love it. I loved it the first time I heard it. And I was genuinely shocked when I saw online that other people didn't love it. I was like, what do you mean? It's so happy and it's so joyful. Um, I My favorite song, it's really hard to pick a favorite song because they're so good. But there's probably a 4-song run that I just listen to, and I could just listen to those 4 songs over and over. And that is Fate of Ophelia, Elizabeth Taylor, Opalite, and Father Figure. I also absolutely adore Life of a Showgirl because I love Sabrina as well. And I love the line in Life of a Showgirl where Taylor says, "I'm immortal now, babes. I couldn't if I tried." I think that really encompasses the legacy that she's built for herself.
Yeah. Um, I quite like the first 6 songs are like my favorite. I tend to lean towards like sadder songs. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, will I like this album? But first listen, I loved it, and I couldn't understand the hate and the discourse around it either. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's so lovely to hear her. We've had so much of her sadness for 20 years. We've heard so much of her heartbreak, both from like romantic relationships, but also the absolutely soul crushing, business deals that have happened around her. We've heard so much of that sadness that it's just so wonderful to hear her joy.
yeah. Yeah. Um, Do you have like a favorite Taylor Swift song of all time? Not just, from Showgirl, but from all the albums. Quite hard to pick, but
Yes.
yeah.
So my favorite song is "You're Losing Me." I don't know what it is about that song, but I sob every single time I hear it. And I was so blessed that I went to Melbourne Night One Eras tour, and that was my piano surprise song, and it was the first time she'd ever performed it live, I think. And I was so shocked because I didn't even dare to hope that she would sing it. It hadn't even occurred to me that she might sing it, and when she started playing it, I was just a sobbing mess for the whole song, and was like cry singing along with her. Because it was like my favorite song at my Eras tour. It was just magic.
Yeah. Now I just have some kind of quick fire questions.
Sure.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yes.
Yes.
Strong
Night owl,
yes.
night owl or early riser.
Night owl.
A place that you want to visit.
Oh, China.
Okay. A favorite film, television show, or book you can pick either one of them.
Oh, film is, I love the Bridget Jones movies. They're my like comfort movies. TV show at the moment, I'm watching Bones, and book. It's got to be Twilight.
And then if you could have 3 dinner guests, dead or alive, who would they be?
I mean Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. I would love to invite. Oh, that's a really tough question. This is going to be probably not what you're expecting, but I would love to invite my grandfather because he passed away when I was a teenager, and I would just love to tell him about my life.
Hmm.
Um, and I would probably also pick Mama Swift, Andrea Swift, because I'm so fascinated by the values that she raised Taylor with, because Taylor was a young star and she hasn't got mixed up in drugs, sex scandals, the way other child stars have. So I just would be really fascinated to hear what her model of raising a child star is and how it differed from others.
Yeah. And then just the last question I kind of have, the world is a really dark place at the moment. What is something that kind of makes you laugh or brings you joy?
Oh, so many things. My cats make me laugh all the time. I'm not sure if you noticed I was looking in that corner before because one of my cats was, I've got a little miniature Christmas tree with Taylor Swift ornaments hanging on it, and he was chewing on one of the branches, and I was like, don't destroy that while I'm on live. um, so he was making me giggle a bit, but just I don't know. Like I try and find joy in simple things. So having a package arrive of something that I'm really excited about, or having a friend call me and chatting on the phone for an hour about life and just feeling accepted and safe. Or like watching a really funny TV show. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just where can people find you online? Plug yourself.
Oh, so mostly you'll find me on TikTok. So my TikTok is hannah.swiftie.13. Or if you're interested in the Willow Post, it's at the Willow Post. I'm also on Instagram, hannah.swiftie.13, but I don't post on there. But some people like to DM me photos on there if they can't DM me on TikTok. So that is, you can follow on Instagram if you like, but I don't post videos there. It's mostly TikTok.